Thank you for tuning into my channel. This is an update for the Christmas memory quilt. I'm starting to sew the blocks into rows. So if you want to see how one of these rows come together, please stay tuned. I am really excited to be at this stage of this particular Christmas memory quilt. If you've been following my channel, there is a playlist that goes along with each step of making this quilt so far. I have shown where I preview the shirts, designing the quilt, cutting up the shirts, putting the shirt pieces into blocks, whole deal. And so right now I'm sewing the blocks into the horizontal rows. I have one right here behind me. It is very cool. I love the way that it's coming together, and right now I want to take you just a little bit into this part of the quilt. I have already squared up all the blocks. That took a little bit of time because they are giant blocks, but I used my 20.5-inch square ruler to square the blocks up to 18 inches, and I'm going to put a little snippet in the video so that you can see me actually doing that process. You can see it here where I am just taking each one of the blocks, kind of lining up the middle on that middle intersection, trying to line that up at 9 inches on both sides, and then just clipping or cutting down on either side to get an 18-inch square. All of the blocks have been squared up, and they're actually laying upstairs on the floor because I have space down here, but it's where my long arm is, so I really don't have any space here. So the quilt is laying upstairs. I'm going to put a picture of it here so that you can see what it looks like. Of course, if you've been following my channel, you already have seen this. But I've sewn the top row. That's what's right behind me. And so I'm in the process of sewing the other rows. The only thing is right now I have a bare order that's taking priority over this. So I'm just giving you a little sneak peek. I'm not going to work on this very long. I just want to show you where I am in the process and let you see how easy these blocks are coming together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the camera upstairs so you can see the quilt and how I'm going to make this thing work. Okay, so here's this section up here, the first row. I'm not going to take it down. I think I'm just going to leave it up there for right now while I work on the second row. So let's head upstairs and I'll show you what we're up to. So this part of the quilt making is challenging for me because I have this whole thing laid out on the floor. And so it's kind of, it's just frustrating because it's all right here and I don't really have the space that I would like to have to move around. But no matter, that's not important. I have already sewn the top row, so the space for the top row is there. And I've started the second row. What I'm doing is I'm using the next seam as leader enders. So when I get ready to pull this, I actually have to pull a little bit at a time just so I can make sure I have a leader ender. Now these two sets are already stitched, so the first two rows there, or the first two blocks, they're already stitched. Wait, it's not focused. There we go. The second two are stitched together. Okay, and then here's the fifth block. So what I'm going to do now, and this is what I do for every single time, I'm only taking the seam that I'm going to sew. So here I go. I'm going to just pick this one up. I'm going to put it right sides together. And then I'm going to grab it with my right hand here. And I could use pins, but I don't bring any pins up here. And all I'm going to do is hold it right here as I go downstairs so that I know which part I'm stitching together. So now that I have this in my hand, I'm going to take it downstairs and we will sew it on together. Now that I have my pieces down here to sew into my row, this is the part that I had already connected here. And what's nice about this is that I have the seams, and so I have 4 or 3 seams that I can match up. And so hopefully it'll line up nicely. I'm just making sure you can see this. Yeah, so hopefully it'll match up nicely. And what I've noticed is on every single block, 2 of the seams nest, and the third one is the third ones do not. So it varies from block to block, but like on this one, these top 2 seams will nest, and the middle seam will nest, and the bottom will not nest. So that's where I'm really trying to be careful. But since I have the 3 seams to line up, it makes it really easy to go together. I am using my Pellon paper as my first leader ender, just because I'm doing this one, this row by itself. So I have a leader ender already started here. But in just a second, you're going to see me go grab another piece from downstairs. From upstairs to stitch as my next ender. Alright, so I'm just matching up this first seam. And so far, I've only done one whole row, but they match up okay. I think once everything comes together, you won't be able to see the ones that don't match up perfectly. But so when I get through that first seam, I just match up the next one. And so it's like I'm matching up about 4.5 inches at a time, which is fine. It's not hard. Okay. And so I'm just kind of holding that seam tight here in hopes that it matches up as it goes through the machine or goes under the needle. I'm trying to watch my 1/4 inch, but if it's not perfect, I'm not going to really stress about that. Okay, and then I'm lining up the last seam. And then I don't know how well that one did. I won't know until I take it off. But again, I'm not really stressing about it. I think it's going to be fine. Okay. Alright, so at this point, I could go ahead and use my Pellon paper as my ender. But I think I'm going to go upstairs and grab another piece and put under here. I will speed up the video so that you can see that I'm going to use that other part as an ender, and then we can put a little more together. I was going to speed this up, but now I don't think I am. I've already cut off the Pellon paper, and I'm going to just go ahead and stitch this next one down. And again, I can see that on this one, actually, I was saying that, that's not pressed right. But for this one, I'm going to have 2 seams that nest. Actually, the way that I press this one is different from the way I pressed the other one. So this was probably one of the first ones I did. So for this one, they're actually going to be 2 seams that don't nest. Still, it's no cause for stress. Okay, but this is the 3rd row of the quilt. This is the first 2 blocks on the 3rd row. Again, I'm just going to line up each seam and hold it as everything moves through. And with a block like this, what's nice about it is that it does give you a lot of points to match up, so that your intersections can be true. Hopefully they can be true. For this block, I could turn that seam the other way if I want to, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I'll just let it go. Since I already pressed it this way, I'll just let it go the way it's going. And then just keep stitching down. And the blocks are so big, I feel like I need a bigger table. Especially as I get ready to sew the whole row together. But it'll work, it'll be fine. And then as this intersection goes through, I'm going to hold on to the other one. Let's see. Oh, that one did something weird. It's okay. so I'm just going to hold on to it, and then I'm going to hold the ends of the fabric so that they can go through together. Go, 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 go. Okay. And then just hold it. Okay, so next is the pressing. So now you get to come with me over to the ironing board and see how I press this. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off here. So now we can see it. Let me zoom out a little bit. Nope, that's zooming in. Alright, so now you can see that it's all stitched together. Let's go to the ironing board and see how we're going to press this. So for the pressing, I'm going to do, let's see, I'll show you this. This is the intersection of the seam for the first two blocks. And for this one, they're actually going to the left. So what I have to do is I have to press the next intersection, the one I just did. I'm going to press it to the left, so I have the larger piece on top here. And like this part is more challenging for me because I'm pressing the whole row the same way. All right, and so for this part, I'm just going to use, I have my iron here. I'm just going to set the seam here. And then I'll just roll it back just like normal. But the only difference is that for this black, there is, it's like kind of a velvety or a suede feel or something. So I can't put the iron down on it because it's going to burn it and leave some little marks. So for whenever I get to one of these pieces, I'm just going to use my pressing cloth over it so to help me kind of get that seam. And I want to make sure that my seams lay the way I want them to, so that they nest as I get ready to sew the rows together. So I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit to make sure they lay right. And now I'm going to go ahead and give everything a press. And for most of the fabrics, it's not a big deal. The only one I'm concerned about is this black. All the rest of them seem to press fine. So I'm just putting a little bit of pressure on this one to get it to lay the right way. Okay, and now I'm going to take this upstairs so we can put it with the rest of the row and stitch that part together. So we're back at that same section that we were doing before. This is the row that I just added on. And so now the only seam on this row that needs to be stitched is this one right here. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Pull it over right sides together. I'm going to hold it by this right side, take it downstairs and stitch it, and I will show you what's next. For this next section, I don't have to worry about the seams as much because this is a special block that I'm stitching down. But I want to be careful to make sure that the top and bottom lines up on this one. And I want to be sure that the seams go the way that they're supposed to go. So I'm just kind of checking that as I stitch. But now this whole row is going to be stitched together, which is awesome. Okay. And then at this point now, I've started the third row, which is really cool too. Okay, so I'm just kind of holding this seam down the way it's supposed to go. And then I have to check the underneath seam to make sure that it's going the correct way. Okay. And I am trying to watch my 1/4 inch. I really am. I'm not sure how crazy it's going to get, but I am trying to watch it. Alright, and again, just kind of matching up the bottom here. So, and checking the seams. Alright, so I've got that seam going the way it should go. Okay. And then that last one, and then just making sure it's lined up at the bottom. making sure, just trying to make sure every little thing is lined up the way it should be. And I hope that you can see this on the camera. Trying to line it all up, and then finally the very last bit. Okay. Now I'm going to leave this here on the machine for just another second so that I can go ahead and press this one. These are the first two rows of the third row, and these are going to go to the right. So this row has the red on the end, and so it's going to go this way. So I'm going to press it with this seam up and then flip it back. Again, you can see the velvety or suede or whatever right here, so I'm going to use my pressing cloth for that. And then I'll come back to this part. I'm going to do this off camera and take it upstairs, and then I'm going to come back and show you the end of this row. I went ahead and I added another Pellon piece right here, another strip on that foundation, because since I have this row finished, I'm not going to keep sewing. Normally I would, and you got to see that whole process, but since I have to do those bears, I need to go ahead and stop at having one complete row. I'm going to press this row. Again, I'm going to press towards the left, so I'm going to press it towards this side and then fold it back. And for this one, I don't have any black to worry about, so I can just press it normally. And then I'll put it up on the design wall so that we can all see it. I have the top two rows here behind me on the design wall. I am going to put a picture of them on the floor with the other blocks so you can see, number one, how they look with all the other blocks, but also how the quilt is getting smaller because of those seam allowances. I am pretty happy with the way it turned out. I'm really happy that I squared all the blocks up to the same size, because it's really coming together. It's super easy. And I used to not be a square up all the blocks person, but now that I am, it makes such a difference when you're putting your quilt together. And I'm just excited to see this one work. Let me know in the comments what you think about how this is going. To me, it's going awesome. I can't wait to finish it. I'll be working on it hopefully later on in the week. I want to go ahead and get these bears done. I'm in the stuffing process, so I just wanted to do a quick video, a little update to show you how this quilt is coming along. If you have any questions about it, leave it in the comments below. I will also link several of the videos from this series so that you can go check them out if you're interested. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!